Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
I'm Sandy.
And I'm Pam.
And welcome to the Design Lab. You guys have chosen an adventure today. As you know, this session is about helping women transform their lives using mobile technologies. And very simply, we're actually going to start out with a video that's going to give you some context for what this session is about.
In 2006, there were 1.5 billion mobile phone users around the world. Now that number has risen to 3.2 billion subscribers. Adoption of mobile phones is on the rise, but with a handset cost of about $20, barriers still exist for individuals living on less than $2 a day. In houses where resources are limited, husbands rather than wives often get the first mobile phones. GSMA reports that in Africa and the Middle East, a woman is 23% less likely to have access to a mobile phone, and she is 37% less likely in South Asia. However, the benefits of access to a mobile phone are clear. A 10% increase in mobile penetration translates to 1.2% of economic growth for the country. Increasing women's use of mobile phones can have a broader impact on the economy as a whole. Those figures aren't just about the communication which mobile phones can provide. These devices can be used as a source of information, can provide resources for banking, and can improve access to basic services like healthcare through value-added programs. The advantages that come with access to a mobile phone can support increased income for women as entrepreneurs or even as distributors of mobile phones. For women living on less than $2 a day, a mobile device can provide essential access to tools to improve the success of their business, their lives, and the lives of their families. With innovative uses for mobile phones on the rise and infinite space for innovation in mobile phone services, how can women transform their lives using mobile technology?
Okay, I mentioned you were brave for coming to this session because this session is a little bit different. This session is all about you designing. So what this is about is conversation at your tables, imagining new solutions. We're going to ask you to listen to some inspiration, some further inspiration than what the video provided. You're going to generate ideas to help address this challenge. We're going to ask you to dig into one of those ideas even further. And then we're going to share out what got generated in this very brief 90-minute session. So any good design process begins with inspiration. And if we're doing it in a human-centered way, we actually want to know about the lives of the people that we're designing for. It was logistically challenging for us to get you into global context within this 90-minute window to get inspiration from the field. So instead, we brought in a couple experts to share some of their experiences of working around women and mobile technologies. So I would like to introduce some folks to come up and share with you some inspiration. The first is Cherie Blair. Cherie Blair is the founder of the Cherie Blair Foundation for Women. You can come on up, Cherie. Mm-hmm. Please have a seat, yes. Our next expert who's going to share with you his experiences is Aldi Haryopratomo, and he is the co-founder and CEO of Ruma. Yes, more applause, come on. In a design session, we get to applaud, exactly. And so they've been given the very difficult task of about 7 minutes to brief you on the depth of the experience that they have. And so I'm just going to ask Ms. Blair, please begin.
Well, thanks for that kind introduction. I'm a lawyer, so I like my lectern. This is the easy bit for me. I'm terrified of what's going to happen next because I'm not sure that I'm very good with gold stars or drawing in anything, let alone something inspirational. We've just seen in that film some basic statistics, and I know these statistics are right because it was actually my foundation, along with the GSMA, who did that very first report. And it was a report that came out of a session here at CGI, because we were talking about access to the poor to technology. And I thought, well, we're not talking enough about women. We know that syndrome, don't we? And so I thought that we should try and actually find out how much access women were getting to mobile technology. And we did the survey. Some of the statistics you've seen on the screen. I'll tell you a few more in a minute. But the one thing we found was that there were 300 million women across the world who could technically get access to the mobile phone, but weren't getting that access. And why was that? Well, we found there were a number of reasons for that. And one of them was on the screen again, the cost of a mobile handset. It's getting lower and lower, but we still have some way to go. But beyond that, of course, is what we also saw on the screen, what we call cultural attitudes. That means basically the guys were grabbing the goodies first before the girls could get their hands on them. That's not just that position. There's also the position that the guys don't want the girls to have access to the mobile phone. I remember when I first set up my foundation was talking about how mobile phones could help women. There was an article in the Times of London which said that in North India, some of the local religious leaders were actually saying to the parents, don't let your daughters get hold of a mobile phone, because if you do, she'll be able to choose her own relationships. So husbands, parents don't always want that to happen. But also, of course, there's the women themselves. Many women, my own mother included, find technology frightening. Older women have this particularly. Younger women seem to embrace it more. And then there's practical issues, like if you don't have electricity in your village, how do you charge your mobile phone? And how do you get access to the internet? And finally, there is the question of literacy. How can you use a mobile phone if you can't read and write? Well, one of the things our report showed is that actually having a mobile phone in your hand gives you an incentive to learn how to read and write, and also to keep up that literacy after you've learnt it in school, because suddenly you've got a reason to use it. Why is this important? Because information today is key. And without access to information, there are so many things that you can't do. We can't transmit the health messages that we need to know, even simple health messages about washing your hands or inoculating your children, without access to the mobile phone. So many of the world's poor have been cut out of the global economy because they haven't had opportunities to make financial transactions. Without access to the greater outside world, farmers, small farmers in villages don't know that actually if only they went to that supplier over there, they would get better prices for the goods that they're buying and for the goods that they are selling. And it was one example of how technology can change that I wanted to share to you, which comes out of a project we did in Gujarat in India with SEVA, the Self-Employed Women's Association. I know many of you know that great cooperative of over 1 million women in India. And we know them, of course, as agricultural workers. But they also have a wholesale business. And thanks to the Vodafone Foundation, we started to provide their Rudy women, who were the women who went door to door selling from the wholesaler, the rice, the lentils, and we managed to put the whole system on a mobile phone. So instead of having to travel to the wholesaler to get the goods, the women will now be able to place their orders using a mobile phone and not have to travel because they will be delivered. This would cut out often a whole day's wasted time because they could carry on selling. And when I met the women, I asked them, how it had changed their lives. And they were saying, well, it means the difference to us of giving our children 1 meal a day and being able to feed them 2 meals a day. And they also spoke of how their husband, who'd been a bit unsure at first, suddenly when he saw the family was getting better, were more than happy to change his mind. But you know, financial independence for women is the key. It's the key to so many other things that women can do. But on the other side, for the industry itself, reaching new customers is a very important business opportunity. And one of the things we did in our report was to show that the industry was missing out of a $13 billion opportunity for selling more airtime. And we have been fantastically supported by the industry. I'm delighted, for example, to see IDEO in the room, who have supported us so much in a project that we have done with the ExxonMobil Foundation, who I also know are here, where we have done a project where we have provided information services to women free, which help them understand how to develop and grow their businesses. That's a service which now in Nigeria, Indonesia, and Tanzania is reaching 100,000 women. So you can get scale using the mobile phone. And finally, let me touch on a project that we're doing in Africa with TIGO and USAID, where we're helping women become mobile money agents, helping them set up small businesses with a small loan so that they can contribute to this whole movement which is bringing financial services to the poor. One of the women I met in Tanzania, who's been a cash agent now for about 4 or 5 months when I saw her, used to be a civil servant earning $250 a day. Now she's earning, a month. And now she's earning, that's the lawyers who earn $250 a day. Now she's earning $1,000 a month. She's a single mother and is supporting a family of 6. Imagine how that has changed her life. So one of the most exciting things then about mobile technology is its scalability. We have started these projects deliberately to share with you and with our partners with the idea of hoping that you will take up these ideas and replicate them in your own countries, in your own businesses, because that way there's a real potential, finally, to ensure that through collaboration we can make the economic opportunities that we take for granted, the mobile technology that we use so easily, available to everybody in the world. Now, I'm conscious that it says 0 there, and I know I was threatened they were going to carry me off the stage, so I'm going to sit down and introduce Aldi, a wonderful, wonderful young man, because we've spoken before.
Thank you, Cherie. So I first met this amazing woman named Evie when I was riding my motorcycle through rural Indonesia. And Evie was the first woman in her family to ever graduate from high school. She was also the first to have a government job, but then she got married and her husband had her quit. But Evie likes to be active. So when I met her, she just started her little shop selling snacks and drinks to her community. She asked me, how can I join Ruma, which is the company that I'm working with. And Evie asked me, I want to increase my business. I want to have more revenue. But she didn't have a phone. Her family could only afford one phone, and the phone goes with her husband, as Ms. Blair just mentioned. Evie's challenge reflects the barriers that millions of women face around the world with regard to access to technology. The first is culture. Like 74% of women don't want a phone because their husbands don't allow them to. The second is education, because women are less likely to have access to higher education as well as understand technology. And the third is price. Not only the price of the handset, but also the price of the service. Because right now, a lot of telcos tailor their services for men, and women behave differently. They talk more to each other, they talk during the day, so it becomes very expensive for women to have access to a mobile device. Thankfully, around the world, corporations, nonprofits, and startups have worked together to find ways to solve this problem. One example is actually from Orida's group of companies, AsiaCell and Indosat, who have taken the leap of faith to create plans targeted specifically based on women's usage patterns. Within 2 years, Asia Cell in Iraq doubled their female subscriber base. So it pays to help women get access to technology. Second comes from a nonprofit, Remain Foundation. They have a system called Mobile Midwife. So thousands of women die every day from bleeding, from maternal mortality, sometimes because they don't have access to the right information. The Mobile Midwife delivers content and information for these women so that they can get help at the right time and get information that they need to prevent themselves and their baby from miscarriage or death. So helping women will help save lives. So let's get back to Evie for a bit, for the last example, which is how her story progressed. So eventually she convinced her husband to buy a phone because we told her that if you join us, you'll make more money to pay for your phone within a month. And she started with $5, selling prepaid airtime to her community. Evie is a natural saleswoman, so within about a month, she started selling $20 a day. And she came back to me and said, hey, Aldi, how do I get more? How can Ruma help me to sell more? And so we told her, how about you recruit and teach other women to be like you and sell airtime to your community? So then she went around on her motorcycle and knocked on doors and recruited 20 other women to be an Evie. And together, every day, they sell $100 worth of airtime every day. Of course, I came back and Evie still wasn't satisfied. I said, what else can I do, Aldi? So thankfully, we just signed a partnership with a bank and an operator to provide financial services to households using entrepreneurs like Evie. So we gave Evie access to an Android device. And we taught her on how to use the Android phone. It's really amusing when you see somebody first touching a handset with no buttons. They don't know what to do. And the way it works is that using the phone, Evie can become a teller, a customer service officer, a loan officer. So she's a person that you can go to open a savings account, to accept withdrawals, to accept deposits, to make loan repayments, and to pay your bills, all in one, using that magical device called the phone. So Evie, was initially very unsure about this business, because me, a banker, how can I do it? Then within 2 weeks, she came back with something very inspirational. She told me, like, hey, Aldi, this new business of providing savings is actually like helping people realize their dreams. Because I think, what do you mean? Well, actually, most of the women that I help open bank accounts are doing it because they want to save so that their children can go to high school. They save literally 50 cents a day, something that the banks would never accept today because the costs are too high. And she said, yeah, people save for health, for education, for housing. And she said, it's very, very powerful. But then she said, but then I realized that a lot of women don't have phones. So my business, finding hard, can you find phones for me, Aldi? Can you help me get more women who have phones? Can you teach them how to use phones? And I think today, here we are today, is trying to, how do we solve these challenges? So at Ruma, we have over 10,000 Evies in Indonesia over the course of the last 3 years. And we teach them on how to sell airtime, bill payments, and financial services through their phones, essentially become a bank for their neighbors. One of the biggest challenges that we have, and I think this is just an example of other challenges, is the handset. How do we get handsets into the goal of the 1 million customers that we hope to achieve by the end of next year? I think other solutions around the world will face the same challenge and scale. Sometimes the upfront cost is too high for somebody to open a savings account. If you only want to save $5, it doesn't make sense for you to buy a $20 phone. Sometimes it's education. There are multiple barriers to access, and we at Ruma hope to find a solution. But today, we're here together to find solutions and new solutions and also ways to break these barriers to access for women like Evie. I think there are many organizations like us around the world. I think that with the help of companies, governments, and other NGOs, we can help solve this problem together and help women enrich their lives and improve the lives of others using technology. Thank you very much.
Thank you both. All right, so we're going to move on. We're actually going to learn from each other right now and continue to unpack the expertise that's in this room. We're going to do that by having you introduce yourselves to your table mates, have you share your name, the role at your organization, as well as any bit of advice or expertise or experience you have that is relevant to today's topic. Now we're going to speak in headlines because we have all of 6 minutes for everybody to share. All right? Please do.
Lawyer, but I don't practice law. I'm a lobbyist, but I don't lobby anymore. I'm working with a fellow out of California on mobile technologies for advocacy. So that's my introduction.
My name is Ellen Morris, and I'm the founder of Embark Energy. That is a one-stop shop for training and coaching energy entrepreneurs in developing countries, and then linking them up with investors for their bankable businesses, and then supporting the development of the supply chain. And my experience relates to energy, and one of the things we're challenged with is how to do distance learning in a place where there's no electricity and no internet.
I'm Valerie Hannon. I'm from London, England. We run Innovation Unit, which works globally across all 5 continents. And then I'll just pick up the helmet. Radical innovation in learning. I think that makes sense. Mobile technologies for learning, bring your own device, for us are central to 21st century learning. And we think that the shift that we'll need to make learning engaging and really powerful for everybody is twofold. One is to bring technology powerfully to bear, and the other is to move to learner agency rather than teacher-centric approaches. So those are our fundamental precepts, and the liberating power of technology in this to shift from pedagogy, if you like, to andragogy, to the learner owning their journey as a learner is what's critical.
And what group are you with?
Innovation Unit. London.
My name is Manuel Viges. I'm from Mexico City. I'm co-founder of a social enterprise called Mexico. We work with solar energy for rural areas.
Are you the person I'm supposed to meet?
I'm supposed to.
Yeah, with Alejandro.
Yes.
Alejandro. Okay.
And well, we work from design and development of technology to last mile distribution. And for this session, we have both. We empower local technicians, and all the mobile reporting is a barrier in Mexico. And also, they pay small microloans for their systems. So having a phone, 0% people have a banking service of our clients, and only 20 to 24% have a cell phone.
My name is Mazen Arafi. I'm the CEO of IDEO. I think that was mentioned. We are a company that operates in the Middle East, North Africa, and also Southeast Asia. And Indosat is one of our companies. And of course, we have recently also won a license to operate in Myanmar, which is a country that faces a lot of challenges, from power, to even provide services, because the penetration of mobile services in Myanmar now is less than 7%. We understand. So we are very much looking for ways to provide solutions, especially the majority of those customers. So we are interested very much to know how best we can do. I think we have some collaboration, with some people, especially entrepreneurs in Indonesia, and that has been very helpful for us to come and bridge the gap. I think also what Cherie has mentioned about Iraq, because we were also one of the companies that focused on product for women that doesn't phone, that we were able to raise the penetration from 20% in that country for women to 40% in just a couple of years. So it is something that we are excited, and we believe it's one of the things that excites us as a company.
And 2-minute warning.
But yeah, so the founder of Ruma started Ruma 3 years ago, and now we're trying to grow it. And again, our single biggest goal is 1 million women savers by the end of next year.
I've already
Oh,
gone.
you've gone
Yes.
already. Oh, thank you. I'm Afghan Khan. I run an organization called Women for Women International. We work principally in post-conflict countries, Iraq, Afghanistan, Bosnia, Kosovo, Rwanda, Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, and Nigeria. It's a comprehensive program looking at economic empowerment of women as well as health and well-being, and that women also form networks and know their rights. So we've got a couple of challenges. One is that we're often working, or mostly working, with the socially most excluded women. So in some countries, they're Congo, Bosnia, and Kosovo, there's good cell phone penetration, but we have an issue on payment for women using, in some countries we have to use cash, which is both dangerous for us and dangerous for women. So
All right. Thank you for doing that. Did that feel fast? Because you ain't seen nothing yet. All right, we're about to go into the ideation part of today's session, but before we do that, we're going to kindly ask that you follow some ground rules. These will help make our ideation session far more productive. And we're going to start with trying to keep an open mind. And this is all about not stomping on the ideas of others and not holding yourself back. When you have that crazy idea, unleash it, share it. Don't hold yourself back. We also want you to encourage big, audacious, wild thinking. This is sometimes where the most powerful solutions come from. Build on each other's ideas, add to them, further them. And go for quantity. We believe quality will come from quantity. The more ideas you have, the more likely some of them are going to be quite exceptional. Have one conversation at a time. Stay doggedly focused, if I do say so myself. And try to be visual. We have some tools on your table. Please do draw. A picture seriously says 1,000 words. And we'll come back to that in a minute. So this is, in summary, your brainstorming ground rules. I also wanted to point out we have 3 table moderators from CGI, if you guys could raise your hands. And these folks are going to help keep the conversation moving and answer any questions you might have. You also might notice that on your table you have quite a bit of supplies. Probably the 2 most important things is you've got sticky pads. They're blue, and we want 1 idea on each sticky pad. So you're going to run through those pretty quickly, and you're going to use a Sharpie marker to write those down. So make sure you capture every idea, 1 per sticky pad. And see that big mat that's on the bottom of those supplies? You are going to cover that with terrific ideas. We should not be able to see white space on that by the end of this session, all right? And you also have some construction paper and some blank paper. This is to draw, and this is, and we're talking really simple sketches, and also to build prototypes. So be as visual as you possibly can. All right.
So the first step of this process is actually to frame a question. We've pre-framed these for you. We like to focus brainstorms so they're not just what do we do about women in mobile, but we take some of the things that we learned from the kinds of things that our experts shared with us to inspire us, and we turn them into questions that would help us all be generative. So as Pam mentioned, the session is going to feel rushed because what we're going to keep doing is asking for you to imagine together and generate and build on each other's ideas, and then we're going to cut you off, and we're going to give you a new question, and you're going to ask you to do that again. We're going to do that 3 times, and then you're going to have a chance to look at all the brilliant things that you imagined because we made it go so fast, and then you're going to work with one of those a little deeper just to kind of set expectations of what's ahead. So the first question that you're going to have about 6 or 7 minutes to work on, which means generate fast. So everyone get ready with your Post-it pad and Sharpie, by the way. The first question is, how might we design mobile offerings that are relevant to women? So think about products and services that could be created. think about how content might be distributed, and remember some of the things that Cherie and Aldi shared with you about the context that we're designing for. Feel ready? Excited? Come on, let's hear it. I want to hear noise while this brainstorm is happening. All right, excellent. Go. You have about 6 minutes, and I'll let you know. I know. So how might we design mobile offerings that are relevant to women? Yeah. So work as a group, and just feel free to share some of the things that you're thinking that are an answer to this question, and then go around the table with all of your different ideas. Share them with each other. As you put it on the board, make sure others hear you so that they can build off of what you're thinking. Yeah. So if you put something on there that you haven't shared with the table, you might want to just read it out so then people can think about, oh, that makes me think.
Well, this is good when you're, one is make it picture-based. Yeah. I had picture-based, but I had one.
I had to focus on visuals, very positive messages.
up on the board, so I think we're good to go. Solid day. And they're just going to keep loading us on. Is that all right? I'm giving you guys about a 1-minute warning. So if you've been holding back on ideas, this is the moment. Please share them with your table. Get it on a post-it note so it stays alive. Come on, come on. As you're talking, or get someone to draw it for you. An app that helps with mobile banking. It's a great idea. Yeah. And we've got about 1 minute left on this, so that. Yeah. Yeah. What other ideas have you guys been thinking about?
One of the essence of all of these things is saving time. Not having to go to the doctor, not having to go to the store to get the farm input, not having to go to the bank.
Right, that's what I was doing.
Okay, I'm going to call it. That was a solid 6 minutes. Did it feel fast? Did it feel fast? Did it feel slow? Because you guys have a small table. There was a lot of pressure on you. Yeah. All right. I'm going to ask I'm sorry, I spent some time as a 5th grade teacher, so I have like a little bit of a teacher strategy here. I'm going to ask for attention. Eyes up here, please. So first of all, just quick pulse. How'd that feel? Good? Generative? Is it fun to start to think about how you process all the inspiration you've been getting? Great. And how you build off the ideas of others? Because what we want to make sure is that this feels really generative and the ideas are flowing. And we've got 2 more questions to go through. And what we hope is that you even start to build off of the ideas you just generated. So you're going to keep building out this board with a whole lot of ideas that will then elevate into bigger ideas. So the second question prompt that we have for you is, how might we increase entrepreneurial opportunities for women with mobile technology? Now, we heard both of the experts share experience on the ground around this. So I hope you have some of those stories in the back of your mind as you're starting to kind of imagine, what could we design for this context, for these different contexts, to increase entrepreneurial activities for women. We do have some prompts here for you. Think about a lot of different ways to be an entrepreneur. So agriculture, health, education, many other things, of course. Ready? Come on. I don't feel it. 6 minutes. Go. Yeah. I'm just letting you know there's about another minute or so left for this. So if you're holding something back, share it now. Okay, 3, 2, 1. It feels like the room is getting louder, which to us is actually always a good sign because it's a lot of ideas bubbling up. And as we're walking around, there's some pretty exciting things happening. Let's just take a really quick moment. Can someone at each table hold up your board so everyone else in the room can see how generative this room is? Just 2 questions in. Hold up your board, look around the room. Lots of ideas being generated. So we're 12 minutes in. We've got 6 more. You ready for the third question? Okay, the third question here is how might we create mobile solutions that benefit all family members? So we heard a lot about family dynamics, the children, the perhaps older people in the family, husbands, and how much that influenced the ability for women to have mobile technologies and use them, right? So now what we want you to think about is how might we create solutions that help the whole ecosystem around the woman. All right, 6 minutes, I'll let you know. Go.
You've got a minute and a half. Alrighty, we need to move on. And here's what happens next. So good job, you guys. Every team has got their mat nearly entirely filled. Almost can't see white. This is exactly where we wanted to be right now. And here's what you're going to do next. You're going to use your stars. These stars are votes, and every team member at your table gets 3 votes. You're going to review the ideas, and everybody's going to have 3 votes on the ideas they're most excited by and think that they have the most potential of addressing the issue at hand. Now, keep in mind that it's perfectly acceptable to merge some ideas together, to stitch them together to make a bigger idea. So that's going to need to be part of your discussion as well. So you're going to need to collectively agree on one idea that you're going to further develop, and you've got 3 minutes to land on that idea. Ready, go. Use those stars, 3 votes.
Education, which is more from an information. Right.
Let me find you some.
No, what's that? That's the compass. That's the compass. Okay.
Got a flashlight?
We're building it. We're building our handset. Yeah, I'm afraid we you know.
No, but you know we're putting in our phones with American women too. It's a great question. With a light, so it's like a panic button that makes a really loud sound. And it's based on an awesome story that Louise Steiner told me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'll tell you something. Great.
So we're landing on this idea?
This is our idea.
And this is all the...
And that's all the ancillary material.
This is the phone. Yeah, this is the phone. This is the phone. No, we put it. Do you want to do something? What about something about some way to see charging? Do you want to have some sort of leads coming out in minutes? We have this all around this out even further.
Oh my God.
Do you want to see solar panels? So we're going to expand on this global infrastructure.
Are we going to have to make this happen? Like, are we going to have to put? What is it? If you build castles in the air, that's where they belong. You know the road. Now it's time to put foundation in it. What?
You've got just over a minute to land on that one idea you're going to take forward. All righty, now that you've got that one idea that you're going to concentrate on, you're going to have 12 minutes to further blow it out. And here's what I suggest you do. You're going to find in your materials this piece of paper. This is your worksheet. Everybody? Hello. I know you're busy working on this, but take a look up here. So this is going to be your worksheet. You're going to come up with a name or a title for your idea. You're going to give it a brief description. And this is something we call your concept journey. You're going to think about the idea from the time it launches to the time it has its intended impact. and a couple of milestones along the way. You're going to note that on the concept journey. And then down here is some kind of visual representation of your idea, a drawing, a prototype. I'll give you one example that a team came up with. This is, ladies and gentlemen, the Swiss Army knife phone. So this is the kind of level of, visualization that we're talking about.
We already had one team start prototyping as they were brainstorming, so calling them out for overachievement over here.
That's right. So a couple of things to think about. Really think about letting us know, because you are going to share these ideas with us, how your concept truly does address the problem at hand, who will benefit from your idea, how it's going to be delivered to those individuals, and last but not least, how it's going to be financially sustainable and maintained. All righty? 12 minutes, go.
By the way, one thing I find helpful is if you're feeling like you have to choose between them, either merge them all into one rounded out prototype. By the way, that is so much easier to do than it sounds. Or you guys are big enough that if you wanted to split in half and make two sets, that's totally fine too. You can grab you some other worksheets.
What if we were to have solar powered
So if they're collecting data, the data has got to be going somewhere. So it serves an agency model that can be an application for various applications, whether it's for milk or it's for wheat goods or whatever. They can. There's an interface. Yes, they can.
By the way, a great strategy is to just take the ones that you had all the dots on and say, let's build something that merges them all.
So we're doing.
That's what we're doing. Excellent. And then just start. I would highly recommend you also. We call it build to think, but in this case, we might call it draw to think.
Who is an artist?
Cut to think. Feel free if you're making an app. If you're making an app, just sketch the app. If you're making a system, draw a diagram with the system.
No. Somebody has to
start drawing. You start to think from different parts of your mind.
Multiple boxes with like family, grandma, junior.
We have tape. Tape people are very creative. I always tell people. Everything in the room is fair game. Putting us to you want to use a chair, use a chair. Let's go for green for
like one is like a judo and the other one. Yes. Right. You know what I'm talking about?
You're gonna quickly see the limits of life.
You run out of balance, your lights go out. It can be the same as this. You create a system where you don't have enough balance to the deck. When your phone dies, you can't tell the phone it's worth it. And that's that's harder.
I really encourage you guys to start drawing or cutting stuff or taping stuff together. Once you start making, along with discussing this, you start to use other parts of your brain and you give yourself some freedom to take liberties about imagining the future. You don't have to figure it out. That prototyping actually helps us imagine future places. So I want to push you guys to pick up some markers and paper and cut. You got an app, draw that app. You want to build a phone, build that phone. And everything in the room is fine for prototyping. You need a chair? Here's a chair. You need something, had last year some prototypes where people put real money on it. They made this whole environment and it was like a bank and they put money in it. Yeah, that one lasted. Sure. Sure you can. All right, drawing is happening. Excellent. It's happening. I knew it. I knew there was drawing energy.
We're about halfway. You've got another 6 minutes to go to bring your idea to life before we share them with the rest of the group.
I want to see some construction papers, some drawings. I want to see some things cut. If you've got an app, draw the app. If you've got a process, draw the process. Draw. You can do it. I will promise you, you will start to think different things as soon as you have to draw. As soon as you have to draw, you have to use different parts of your brain. And you have to get over how intellectual the questions are. Start drawing. Come on. It's going to be fun. Draw people, draw things, draw apps, draw flow. Now, I expect this.
In a good way.
Thank you. I appreciate the qualifier. But either way, I don't mind. I know how much you appreciate it. It's worth it. Start to... No. We have office meeting in there.
Is it right? In Delhi?
It's in And what are you primarily
Started by COVID, when did COVID started? We are into disrupting poverty in India through education, livelihood, and public life.
Otherwise, you shouldn't email back. Okay, he wants me to. And don't put the number. Sorry. You just think of it.
How many minutes do you have left? What do you guys make? Start drawing. Of course you have to make something. We should have to draw it. It's not one product. There's the issue. So draw what all those different products are. How you would make them or how you would list them.
I'm in this room for design labs. Otherwise, I'm just kind of around these area.
2-minute warning until we start to share with the other groups. 2-minute warning. And it's not meant to be perfect.
Wonder Woman.
Wait a minute, Anne-Marie, before you leave, because you did the visual.
Do I get to wear a star in my lapel?
Jog it, you sure do.
And then one of like,
So think
she's
about who's
holding
going to
her
stand
phone
up
with
and
like-
share, okay? Because in a minute we're going to turn to sharing, so think about who's going to
holding
do
a
that.
phone, like showing it to like.
About the makers of the handsets.
Okay, it's time. I know it's always hard to stop. So every group, I think, has been warned that we're now going to share these. So I'm going to give you just like 10 seconds to keep talking, and then I'm going to do some of I'm going to whip out my 5th grade teaching techniques.
Here it comes. Watch out.
One of the best ones is lowering the noise. Okay, here's how this is going to go. I know you could build on these forever, and I am positive there's a lot of brilliance in the room. Tell me how it felt once you started to draw out your ideas. Just somebody share with me how it felt. Energizing, fun, terrifying. Anybody agree with terrifying? Yes. Yeah. What did Bill Clinton say? We should come together around our commonalities, not our differences. Everyone felt. I hear a very predominant feeling of terrifying once we started to draw. Yeah.
Also known as energized. Right?
And energized, right? Some are energized by the terror of it. It helped you generate more ideas. Excellent. Great. Yeah, I find that it often also helps generate ideas from a different frame, right? You just kind of start to make decisions as you're making things that have to go much faster than when we're thinking it through. So this is a great tool that you can use as you're working with people to start to draw your ideas. So I'd like to hear, does anyone at the table want to start the sharing process? What I'd like for you to do while you share is just a top-line message about what your idea is and walk us through, if you've got a prototype or a drawing, I'd like you to hold that up and share it with the room, and then we'll guide you through that process. We're going to have a couple minutes per. This table, the energized table. All right, you want to say your name? Say your name, what organization you're from.
Fork Films and the Daphne Foundation, and we have come up with a total floor-to-ceiling reimagining of the phone for women. And before the prototype goes on the market, we are going to be taking this out to rural areas and asking for their design contributions and anticipated, and unanticipated consequences. So, but as you can see, this is called the Wonder Phone because it's wonderful, and it reminds us of Wonder Woman. And it has, thank you.
It has many functions. Okay, so here's the first one. That's a Hollywood star on the Walk of Fame because the women will create and share content with their phone. Radio, video, all kinds of things like this. Oh no, I dropped the
You dropped a key feature?
There's a user's manual, but for unlettered women, it will be a tutorial that comes programmed into the phone, so they get all the functionality. There will be information about family planning, access to reproductive health services, and midwives. This is a whistle. It's a rape whistle. I think every phone on earth should have this. It should have a panic capacity that makes a very loud sound. And the women in the village are all trained to come running. And you know what? You put 10 or 12 women in a village on a guy who's raping a woman, and they will kick his ass. With the panic functionality comes a very bright flashlight, because light is one of the best, as they say, what do they say, disinfectants, but it also creates a problem for the rapist or the violent person. This is money. I was trying to do George Washington, but it came out Ronald McDonald. So this is so that the women can bank on their phones. This is the camera that they can use to report problems in their area, but also to create content with. This is an RX so that they can get medical information. This is a disarmament app. See, this is an AK-47. I want you to see because I cut that out myself. See the banana clip? This is because women in Manipur and other places have been able to monitor and report on peace agreement violations for years now, and it has never spread for reasons that I don't understand, but they can play an incredibly important role in peace and security, and we need to give them the capacity to do that through their cell phones. This is a compass because we're going to have GPS in the phone, and we're going to train women in being able to plot land, and they will start getting people land documentations about the land rights that they have. Okay, I forgot this one. Oh, it's solar powered. Wait,
Of course it's solar powered.
Oh, there's a repair function, and it's also going to promote access to secondary markets in parts and services, which will be an entrepreneurial opportunity for women. And it will have a radio function so that they can pick up radio stations as well, which will have content that's informative for them.
All right, you guys.
This is the Wonderphone.
Amazing. That's wonderful. Amazing. So I'd love to hear just a quick bit of feedback from the room. How would Evie, who we learned about from Aldi earlier, how would Evie feel about this? What are some features that would be very relevant for her? You can call it out. You were about to talk, I know it. Come on. Yeah.
So Evie is the one in the store, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can imagine a sort of the financial transaction interface or the mobile money interface being very useful, and not only for customers to use themselves, but also for the vendor potentially to administer that transaction for women who are not able to, say, send an SMS or perform a financial transaction themselves, but to have an easy-to-use interface for the vendor.
Excellent, yeah. Great. So what group now has an idea that might build off of this? Something that's not represented in the Wonderphone, perhaps. All right, we're going to ask you guys to spend about a minute or so sharing, if you don't mind, so we can get through the rest of the room. Yeah.
So our concept is 2-for-1 family fun. Basically, it's building on a Wonderphone, and the big challenge that we identified is that okay.
See what the power of a group, just 90 minutes, the power of a group.
You're missing the pepper spray in your phone, though. So basically, the idea is the main challenge is to get the second phone in the household. So the idea would be that once you have a phone or once you decide to buy the first phone, the second phone would be for free. And we would finance it through 4 different actors that would be interested. First is the government, which would have reduced cost on cash transfers, conditional cash transfers, and also could provide disaster warning and other like health material, etc. The banks, so you can add mobile money to the phones. Then the telecom offices, who could deduct airtime to pay for the extra phone, and they would be providing it. And also advertisements, both related to different kind of new content on education, on health,
but also advertisement that would be paid for that would get through the phone. So you would be able to, through those 4 actors, sort of finance this Wonder Phone. So it's a second phone.
Excellent. 2 Wonder Phones per household. Great idea. Simple idea, but a lot of thoughtful complexity around that. You guys want to build on that? Similar. We love similar. Build on that. Yeah.
So we have Family Phone. It's phone with an F, and it's already patented by Samsung. So we're going to file some patent violations against you guys. No, but ours is, so it's got different logins for different members of the family. The woman in the family is using it for an agent model. She's serving as the bookkeeper for all the micro entrepreneurs in her community. And she's also serving as a hub for data collection about the community that outside organizations could need. Kids in the family are using it for gaming and as an educational tool. Grandpa's using it to check his meds. Dad is using it to check agricultural pricing. So there's a lot of different features adding on to the Wonder Phone and the, what was it?
2 for 1.
Family, yeah. Family fun.
Super
Very
duper
nice.
Wonder Phone. It's
Can we build on that as well? Because I'm afraid.
Yeah, I just want to say this is amazing how, by the way, a whole room of people are building off of each other without even realizing it. We have base features that are about information and protection. We have a way to get it into the homes. We have features that actually integrate it into the community and the family. What do we got over here?
Yeah, well, ours is very similar, actually, called Family Connect, where you get 2 phones. Sorry, guys,
yeah,
I don't know if you were
right.
listening to us or we were listening to you.
But didn't you guys really think it was going to be 3 for 1?
Well, that could be. Yeah, it's sort of stretched thought, really, shouldn't I? The point is the second phone is actually, the more you use the first phone, obviously, then the second phone becomes free. Somehow you can restrict that to family services, maybe health, or also the second phone could be financed maybe by an agri-service provider who gets feedback. He gives the phone as part of the package for free. You get feedback from the family farmer via that phone and then becomes free. Then you get all the other services applied to that as well. We did talk about, now don't shoot me here, about pink phones, so the man wouldn't grab it, the second phone. So that would stop him using it. But apparently in some cultures, pink for men is quite good. So you'd have to think carefully about that marketing branding, I suppose.
Yes.
But basically similar type of thing. Sorry, and the top, yeah. So I said that. So the more you use the first phone, the second phone gets topped up for free. And also it could be a business situation as well. For an entrepreneurial, doesn't have to be just family, could be aimed at a business side as well. For an entrepreneur, gets the second phone, etc.
Right on.
Excellent. That's exciting to hear the way incentives can be built into this. Someone build on it. See, it's amazing, the chain. All right, how about this far table here? Do you guys want to step forward a little bit too so people can see what you're holding?
Hi, everyone. My name's Ajaytha. I'm the founder CEO of Frontier Markets. So our table didn't want to create a phone because we knew all of you were doing it. So we decided to actually think about building on content for the phone and spent a lot more time thinking about all the different solutions that have happened in the past, and the challenge being that the solutions were usually very complicated. Women don't like actually SMSing at all. They also don't like punching too many numbers. Mostly women actually prefer getting phone calls, and they prefer seeing visual content. And so that was really the premise of what we wanted to think about. And then we started thinking about, so the content for us really was about creating videos and like YouTube, so thinking about like simple concepts that would be sent across to your phone. And we vetted this through what we already know Airtel's doing, so you can actually use 2G to get that information in for less than a rupee, so that was really important. And then the content we thought about really was about the role of this woman. So, you know, when we think about her role as a family figure, you need to think about the different programs that her family members care about. So for the elderly, it was really about getting them involved in government welfare programs so that she would actually have that information and tell her, you know, in-laws how to reap benefits out of it. Children, it was about gaming tools, like education learning tools that she would actually do to help them study. And then with her husband, it would be about fertility and healthcare. So, which is actually a huge part of the discussion that's actually happening now for pregnancy prevention as well as getting pregnant. And so this is our sad little photo of her showing her family members how to use the phone at all times. And the concept was called we, exclamation, colon, women educate, engage, and empower. And that's the purpose of the phone. Quickly on the financials would be, we're thinking about this like a TV distribution platform. So channels usually get money from contributors as content. So the content that's getting built, you'd have actually the content creator wanting to pay the company to actually then get their content onto the platform to get to more people. So it wouldn't be the women paying for it, but it would actually be the companies.
Awesome, nice job. It's amazing how far we can get in such a short amount of time. We have less than a minute now. I'd love to hear the other two tables share. So any ideas that build on this, if you can be efficient with your time?
Very real quick. Our idea is for a grassroots mobile consultancy. So rather than having people sitting in a room somewhere in Silicon Valley designing phones and how they're going to function, that should be really transferred to the communities where they'll be used. So what is a way that we can create consultancies that work under local women's organizations or within those existing systems, so we can have the feedback directly from the users? This will be valuable to someone who's doing the design of the product. It will be the market research that developers are looking to have. And this can be sold and then in turn benefit those local organizations. They can be sold directly to the companies that are working with specific products.
Excellent. We really do have the ecosystem going here. How about this table?
Well, last but not least, I hope. Our idea is entirely complementary with everybody else's and supportive of all these wonderful insights. We had 2 points of inspiration. The first, that 85% of the population in Kenya is off the grid. So access to power to charge the phone is a critical dynamic and something that has to be grappled with. The other is that women spend a large proportion of every day collecting water, and that were 2 points of reference. We thought what we should do is have a single solar-powered energy source that everybody in the village could use as the power supply. So single sockets, everybody having universal access to this. But the solar-powered device would be placed close to the point of water collection every day, whether that is at a well or at a water site. This would then become an excellent venue for spending time together. It would become an economic and a social hub. It would take that charging time and create real value from that. It could be a location where people spend time talking. Maybe there's some lessons and there's some training on using mobile phones that takes place at that time. Maybe there could also be a hairdresser and somebody selling coffee, which was another idea. So it becomes a really valuable center for women. And we also thought that it could have, a great kind of social convening aspect to it. So that was the essence of the idea.
Excellent. So we've got, in this 90-minute window, you guys all created phones that are relevant for people in global contexts, content that is going to be served to them in relevant ways, incentives that build off of the context, energy to fuel these experiences, and a consultancy to make sure it's accurate everywhere around the globe. That is pretty awesome. We have a round of applause for all of you doing such great work.
Congratulations, you are all now qualified to be human-centered designers. Thank you, Cherie and Aldi, for providing such extraordinary inspiration to kick us off. If anybody is interested in furthering the ideas and keep on working on them, please share your contact information, your name and your email address on the back of your worksheet. And if you would like to continue the conversation with your table mates, please share your contact information. And one last bit of information. There is someone who requires a fair amount of security who is going to be arriving in the building soon. If you want to go to the next session in the main ballroom, I would go there rather quickly. Thank you.